At the very beginning of the pandemic, I flew home to Florida to quarantine with my mom for about the length of the spring and summer. And while I was here, sitting around with not much to do, I remembered that my sister had an old pair of rollerblades in our garage, and I was just so sick of feeling cooped up in the house all the time that I thought, why not put them on, get some exercise, and see if I still have the skills I had when I was, 7 years old to go around the track that's by my house a few times. And after that, I just kind of realized that I loved it. And for the 3 or 4 months that I was here home quarantining, I would skate around this exercise track by my house 6 miles every night, pretty religiously, just to make sure that I got what I considered my training in for the night. And that was just something that at the time felt like the most important thing I could do for myself, as far as self-care goes, as far as self-improvement. And so I just kept doing it, and it's stuck ever since. When I first started skating, rollerblading actually, I fell a lot. And I got very scraped up and very hurt very often. And it wasn't a pleasant experience that I'd recommend to anybody, which is why I will add the disclaimer that the skating I'm doing today is not anything I'd recommend, as I'm not wearing proper gear. Normally you should have on a helmet, at least some elbow pads, some knee pads, and some wrist guards for catching yourself when you fall. I actually fell just about a minute ago and luckily landed on my butt, so not too much damage taken. But learning how to fall and learning how to embrace that uncertainty, I think, is such an important part of roller skating, to be okay with the fact that sometimes you will hit the ground and get a little scraped up. And I think, honestly, for me, it was a very important hobby to take up at this time, because I've also had to embrace the uncertainty of life during the pandemic and the fact that we don't know when this might be truly over, when things can go back to some semblance of normal. And just learning to sit with that discomfort is an intrinsic part of skating and an intrinsic part of life these days. And I think it's a good lesson to have and a good thing to kind of internalize and be okay with. And becoming a skater has really helped me with that. Something that's been really interesting to watch is how roller skating and the skate community has just flourished and turned into such a huge thing during this pandemic in a way, and on a scale that it seems like it had not been in a very long time. And I think a lot of that is due to the fact that we just had a lot of people sitting at home with not much to do who really wanted to get out and do something. And suddenly there were all these amazing creators on TikTok and YouTube and community skate groups on Facebook, just giving out this info, like these tutorials and these new tricks and all these videos and dances you could watch. And it was just so inspiring to see that I just thought, how could I not try this myself at least once? And I think it's important to remember how much of street skating and skating culture has been defined and innovated by Black skaters and skaters of color who came before us. So I don't think that should be forgotten in this new age of roller skate culture. But I just think it's such a great time to be a skater, because overall it seems like such a positive community of a bunch of people, a bunch of newbie skaters like myself, who just kind of got started on a whim and then fell in love with it and have been doing it ever since. And I'm just excited to keep being a part of that community and to grow in these spaces and to contribute in any way I can and meet new people and have a really good time.